Welcome to the first installment of Thunderbirds Character Chronicles, a series of briefings on the personnel of International Rescue, as well as their arch-nemesis, the Evil Hood. Today, we're talking about Jeff Tracy, the patriarch of the Tracy family and founder of International Rescue.
Couldn't be anyone else.
Jeff was born on the 2nd of January 2009 in Hutchinson, Kansas. His father, Grant, was a combine harvester driver and employed state-of-the-art agricultural technology on the family farm. The usage of such complex equipment had an influence on the young Jeff, and before long he'd developed a strong interest in vehicles and scientific development, a passion which remains to this day. This fascination led him to join the US Air Force, which saw him rise to the rank of colonel. His skill at flying and steely determination in the face of opposition impressed the World Space Agency, and he was soon recruited to its new lunar colonization program. Jeff completed a total of 18 missions with the WSA and spent 3 years developing spacecraft to enable mankind's return to the moon. Shortly after he joined the World Space Agency, Jeff married the love of his life, Lucille, and it wasn't long before they had their first child. It was Jeff's idea to name him Scott, after the astronaut Malcolm Scott Carpenter. With the help of the WSA, Jeff embarked on a new business venture, setting up the Tracy Construction and Aerospace Corporation, a trans-global engineering company developing space shuttles and related hardware. The company was highly profitable, and in a short time Jeff became one of the richest men in the world. Jeff was then given the opportunity to realize his long-held ambition when the World Space Agency put him in charge of a manned flight to the moon. It was at this time that his wife Lucille announced Scott was to have a younger brother. It took Jeff little time to suggest Virgil, named after Virgil Grissom. As part of Jeff's training for his moon mission, he was deliberately marooned on an uncharted island in the South Pacific for 10 weeks in order to evaluate his survival skills. Jeff passed the test with flying colours, and his eventual landing on the lunar surface was a great success. In recognition of Jeff's accomplishments, the University of Kansas honoured him by naming a college after him. Tracy College featured state-of-the-art facilities designed to develop student skills for space travel and engineering. But for all his success, Jeff's real happiness lay with his growing family. He and Lucille had 3 more sons, John, Gordon, and Alan. Like Scott and Virgil, they were named after famous astronauts Jeff admired. With 5 sons to be proud of, Jeff considered himself to be very lucky. However, that luck was about to change as tragedy struck the Tracy household. The family were enjoying a skiing holiday in Aspen when a severe avalanche completely buried their holiday home while Lucille and Grant were inside, resulting in the loss of both of them. Following this tragic incident, Jeff's success and wealth meant nothing to him, and a deep depression closed over him. His thoughts turned to the island he had been marooned on as part of his astronaut survival training, and it seemed to be the perfect peaceful escape. Without saying a word to anyone, Jeff was on his way. Unfortunately, he blacked out at the controls of his aircraft and crashed on a remote jungle island, where he would have perished if not for 2 of the island's residents, Kirano and his daughter Tintin, who nursed Jeff back to health. Jeff was then witness to a second tragedy when an explosion erupted from a passing ferry. The ship sank beneath the waves and hundreds of innocent lives were lost. Both of these disasters caused Jeff to think about the countless people around the world losing their lives due to a lack of adequate rescue services. He realized the answer was to create an international rescue organization dedicated to saving lives when all normal methods had failed. With a renewed sense of purpose, Jeff set about the daunting task of making his new dream a reality, determined that it should come to fruition. With his countless business ventures, money was no object when it came to financing the organization. However, the first decision that had to be made was where to locate the new International Rescue headquarters. Jeff knew it had to be an unpopulated area to prevent their advanced technology falling into the wrong hands. After some consideration, he decided the deserted island he had been stranded on would be an ideal base. Once Tracy Island had been colonized, Jeff began to gather together a team of trusted individuals who would be integral to international rescue success. This included his 5 sons to pilot the new rescue craft, a global team of agents to aid in operations, and a young scientist of supreme intellect known as Brains, who was given the job of designing the advanced equipment. Jeff never forgot the kindness shown to him by Kyrano and Tintin, and as an act of gratitude, he offered them the chance to be part of the team on Tracy Island, which they gladly accepted. Also invaluable was Sir Jeremy Hodge, an acquaintance of Jeff's from the early days of Tracy Corp, who assisted in the secret manufacturing of components for the Thunderbird machines. Once international rescue commenced operations, Jeff assumed the role of mission commander, being in charge of coordinating rescues and dispatching the relevant personnel to the danger zone.
Virgil, away you go.
Right, Father.
Although usually based at headquarters, there was one occasion where Jeff found himself at the center of the action. Along with Brains and Tintin, he had gone to check out businessman Warren Grafton's new Pacific Atlantic monorail. Jeff was already less than impressed with Grafton's lack of safety precautions.
Risk? What are you talking about? Crossing the road's a risk.
Maybe, but that's not the attitude to take when people's lives are involved.
Then disaster struck. The train hadn't been properly tested and was running at full speed towards a collapsed bridge, unable to stop. Fortunately, Jeff knew how to keep a cool head in a dangerous situation. First, he set Brains and Tintin to work on fixing the brakes. Then, while still maintaining their cover, Jeff sent out a distress call to his sons. Once Scott and Virgil arrived on the scene, Jeff made sure everyone stayed calm while the rescue was carried out. Jeff has a strong moral compass, always putting human safety first, even if it involves risking international rescue security. When Eddie Hausman, an old friend of Tintin's, was in grave danger, Jeff unhesitatingly dispatched his sons to the rescue area, regardless of the risk of blowing their cover.
We've done everything we could to hide our identity, but not at the risk of wasting a life.
Jeff has shown himself to be an extremely kind and generous man, fully funding Tintin's academic studies before she came to join the team.
How can I ever repay you for your kindness to my daughter?
Well, she's got a good start, Kyrano.
He also invited his old friend from the World Space Agency, Jeremiah Tuttle, to be an international rescue agent. After the deaths of Lucille and Grant, Jeremiah contacted Jeff, guessing what his future plans might be and saying he'd be delighted to help out.
Always been doing favors, straight as they come, as Jeremiah.
Jeff's willingness to help people extends beyond rescuing them from perilous situations. When told by Lady Penelope that the Duchess of Royston was in severe financial trouble, he organised a way to help her by putting her in touch with friend and business contact Wilbur Dandridge III. Additionally, Jeff's friends know they can rely on him to offer advice or to simply provide a sympathetic ear. After the first Red Arrow sabotage incident, Colonel Tim Casey, who was with Jeff during his early days of space travel, came to visit his old friend. Jeff is absolutely dedicated to the cause of international rescue and rarely allows himself the luxury of time off from his duties. When Lady Penelope invited him to spend some time at her farm in Australia, Jeff strongly protested.
What is this? A plot to get rid of me? I tell you I don't need a rest.
However, after persuasion from his sons, Jeff reluctantly agreed. The vacation wasn't a success though, and Jeff was soon back on Tracy Island, claiming that
I've come home to start work again because I figure it's the only way I'll ever get any rest.
In summary, Jeff is determined, compassionate, and has the ability to remain calm and clear-headed in times of crisis. He cares strongly about his commitment to help others and is a firm but fair father. That brings us to the end of this installment of Thunderbirds Character Chronicles. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date with all things Gerry Anderson, and we'll see you next time. FAB.